I'm talking today to Gregory EID, who is the CEO of Teledata. This is a small corporate ISP in Ghana. Gregory, tell me what has happened in terms of cable prices in the last 12 months?
Cable prices have dropped since Main 1 and Glow 1 lit up significantly from $4,500 for 2 meg a few months ago, maybe 18 months ago, to about $800 and dropping further to around $600 for 2 megs. So of course, we think prices will continue to drop when the other 2 cables arrive as well, once in the first quarter of 2011 or 2012, I believe.
And the strategy that's being adopted by the cable companies, yes. You say that they're matching each other's prices.
I mean, it is an open market now. Obviously, there's more capacity than there's demand for, so it's an opportunity to negotiate very good deals. So yeah, I mean, we suppliers approach us, ask us how much we're paying, and we ask them to match or do better if they want our business.
So the advantage now lies with the ISPs in this negotiation rather than with the cable providers? Absolutely.
I mean, times have changed. I mean, there was a monopoly situation, which, to be honest, if I was in their shoes, I would do exactly the same thing. You know, sell an E1 for $4,500. Times have changed. It's business after all. So now there is the opportunity to buy from multiple sources, and therefore a chance to get a better deal. And I think all ISPs are actually doing that right now.
And as an ISP, your core business is corporate customers, but largely SMEs. Talk me through who you actually provide services for.
We do almost for all segments of business customers of the SMEs. Almost all. I mean, we have pharmacies, we have internet cafes, we have banks, we have oil and gas, we have cross-section actually. But we, as a company, believe that there are fewer large and enterprise clients and to go around, and therefore yes, the value of business is high, but the volume is quite low. We used to provide internet service to a telco, one of the mobile operators, for example, a few years ago. That has changed. They would go direct. I mean, so these are the kind of problems we believe inherent to very large enterprise clients in a market like Ghana. So the next best is the medium-sized businesses, and we believe there are tens of thousands of them out there who are gradually and slowly getting to understand and appreciate the value of connectivity, internet services, wide area, and other value-added services. So we are focused in that specific segment.
Give me an example of, you don't have to give me the company name, but give me an example of somebody who has put in a wider range of ICT services based on the increase in bandwidth.
As in they've upgraded, you mean?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, many. I can give you a name. We have Novotel, for example,
yes.
One of our clients. We struggled for years to get them to buy even 512 kilobits per second.
Yeah.
They started with 4 megabits with us about 6 months ago, and they just upgraded to 8 megabits. I mean, this is one of the extreme examples, but they can afford 8 meg. However, it's a trend that we see happening more and more often with some of our existing clients who just come back to us and say, how much can I get for the same amount of money that I'm paying? And they can get a lot more. I mean, prices have dropped about tenfold. So you can just imagine the increase in capacity that we can supply.
So is there a doubling or tripling of demand, presumably on the basis of lowered prices?
For capacity?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We try to do it in a managed approach. We try not to go out there and say to everyone we'll double your capacity, because that will have a negative effect on the network and our ability to deliver. So we've actually broken down the clients into different groups, and we're approaching them ourselves and saying, you're in another group and we'll start with you in 4 months or in 6 months. We want to double your capacity, but it will happen in June or in December, because we want to make sure that our network doesn't suffer as a consequence. But yeah, I mean, it's inevitable that people would want that, and it's good for business. Bandwidth is addictive, and the more they have, the more they want. So it's actually a pleasure for a change to be able to go to a client and say, instead of 128 kilobits, I'm going to make it 1.5 meg for you. And to be honest, even 1 meg is something we kind of don't want to sell anymore, and we're encouraging people to take up 2 meg or more from it.
So from within those businesses, what's the driver for additional bandwidth? What are they using it for?
Oh boy, a lot of things. I mean, the sky is the limit. As soon as you have more internet capacity, you have a host of other things you can do that you couldn't do previously. I'll give an example. We used to do email hosting services for our corporate clients for free, simply because we wanted to take out that traffic away from the capacity that they subscribe to, because that was inadequate. At the moment, there is no need to do that anymore, so we encourage them to host outside. We encourage them to actually send and receive emails directly using the bandwidth that they have. That is one example. There are many things, video monitoring, voice over IP, a lot of hosted services, application hosting within their own network. So yes, I mean, everything that people do in the West and in developing countries or developed countries, we can start to look at right now and look at the possibility of doing that with more bandwidth.
And what are the barriers to growth? What's holding growth back now that you've got the bandwidth?
There are some, I think, external barriers and some internal. The external ones are regulation, easing restrictions on maybe customs or duties for imported computers, CPEs, tax cuts, all those stuff that government doesn't want to do because they think that it will take away from the revenue that they're making right now. But we all know how that will help improve the country and GDP in general. The internal ones are network capacity. I mean, we have to now look at how to deliver 5 or 10 times more capacity on an existing network. And so these are some of the things that we need to look at in anticipation, or that, if you will, that are slowing the growth. So it will take us a few months, maybe a year, to double the capacity on our network.
And you own and run your own network. Describe that.
Yes, we do actually. We built a microwave backbone into 8 of the 10 regions in the country 8 years ago, and of course the last mile to our clients. So we are responsible for the quality of service end to end, and we also have very competitive pricing as a result, since we do not pass on any monthly recurring backbone costs to the end users.
And the vendor for that is Motorola?
Yes, I mean, our network is entirely built over Motorola technology. So we use Motorola point-to-point, high-capacity OFDM backbone radios, and we use Motorola Canopy for the last mile.
Okay. And you were saying you were able to offer cheaper as a result of that. Presumably this is a big advantage. What if I were buying from one of the large operators? Would I be paying for bandwidth from, say, Accra to Kumasi?
Well, we do have, for example, between Accra and Kumasi, we own our microwave network. We also buy fiber capacity as a redundant backbone link. So we pay $1,000 a month for 2 meg on fiber. I paid about $200,000 for the link between Accra and Kumasi. That will give me 300 meg, depreciated over even 3 years. Works out to less than 10% of what I'm paying for fiber. So I mean, there is still a problem there that needs to be addressed.
Isn't there something slightly crazy where it costs something like $200 to get bandwidth all the way from London to Accra, but costs 5 times as much to get it from Accra to Kumasi? There's something not quite right there.
Well, yes, for the consumer maybe. I'm a business person, and I try to always rationale using my business hat. But if I was, if I owned a backbone network, I would probably do the same. Again, you need to establish an important role in the provision of service from wholesale, maybe submarine cable, all the way to the end user. And as an ISP, I built my own backbone, but that was madness. I mean, I'm supposed to focus on last mile. and customer service and value add and not build a backbone. So there are different roles for different players, and backbone is a very important one, and therefore I think those who have a backbone network are currently negotiating or renegotiating their role with the various players. Prices, I believe, will drop. MTN, Vodafone, Glow, and I hear Airtel well, the first three I mentioned already have a large terrestrial national network, fiber network, and Airtel is also building one. So, like with the submarine cables, eventually prices will drop.
Through competition?
Through competition, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I do agree it doesn't make sense to pay $1,000 to Kumasi and maybe $200 or $400 to the UK. It doesn't make sense.
Gregory, thanks for talking to me today.